Thank you very much, Maria. Thank you for having me. This is my third or even my fourth DLD conference. It's always amazing. These conferences are different than other conferences, and I had to learn it, I must say, to learn the DNA of DLD. And today, Steffi, I don't know whether I can live without it. But we don't have much time, and I do have the pleasure now to introduce my partner in the conversation, who is Katrin Habenschaden, the new director or head of sustainability of Deutsche Bahn, the German railway system. Katrin, please come join me for our conversation. Katrin has made an amazing career because she's combining a lot of things that might, from my understanding, be quite useful in your new position. So by training, she is a banker and an economist, which is not bad if you work in an economy that is very much dominated by economy. But then she changed and went to politics and made quite a career here in Munich city politics. She became the leader of the Green Party and then the second mayor. So those living in Munich may well know her, but then, again, another step. She joined last December Deutsche Bahn, one of the most significant companies of Germany, for many reasons significant, because we're all using it, we're all suffering from it, and we're all enjoying it when sitting on a train. And Katrin, I want to figure out with you now, Deutsche Bahn is always a kind of laboratory of our society. So those who have worked in politics and in Deutsche Bahn should know how Germany is working. Yeah? But before we come to this, and this will be our very point, I first want to provoke you a little bit. I mean,
go for it.
Yeah, your company it comes out with a very strong slogan. Das ist grün. This is, or that is green. And you even painted the locomotives of your ICE train, so the flagships with the green stripe. You're advertising a lot on your climate-friendly policies. You have stopped the use of glyphosate. And I really wonder, does a company like this still need someone like you, a sustainability manager?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would start with an absolutely, of course, because that's why I changed to Deutsche Bahn in December 2023. And it's not because of me and of my position and of my plans of life. It's a little more because of what do we see, what have we, which are the next steps. And it's not only about, to fight the climate change, it's about all the steps we are facing. So the Deutsche Bahn has a very holistic approach of how to face all sustainability matters. It's climate, of course, it's nature, which we are discussing here today. It's maybe something like noise reduction, and it's resource reduction as well. So we have a lot of challenges in front of us. We are not on a step where I can say, yes, that's fine. So yes, they need somebody like me who is challenging all the others at Deutsche Bahn and in politics and maybe in society who are not with me yet.
Okay, yeah, but okay, let us understand this a little bit better. So when I have a look on your website, I see a lot of climate. So the entry point on the website to the whole sustainability world is climate. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But does that really stand up to a second look? So if we look deeper, given that most of your green electricity is coming from hydropower, and hydropower is deteriorating freshwater ecosystems, for instance. So of course, we can call it green if we have only a look on one dimension, which is carbon, but if you look on biodiversity, it can be questioned a little bit. Or given that your railways are also fragmenting our landscapes. Yeah? So I wonder a little bit, is this climate emphasis no more than a fig leaf, perhaps? And are you neglecting other dimensions like biodiversity?
It's not one against the other, and I think that Rockström pointed out this very well in the morning. So we have to take care that we are not, saying, okay, that's climate, and we are gone with that, and now, as he said, a line for nature, which is right. It's the one and it's the other, to be honest, and that's how we do it. And to me, this is very important to have the one and to have the other, and to focus on all these topics. Which was your question again?
If you don't know this question, I have another one then.
Yes, then the next one.
No, the question was, do you perhaps neglect biodiversity? But let me come to my next question, because I will take this up.
Yeah.
I know from our conversations that you are currently working indeed on a biodiversity strategy for Deutsche Bahn. Yeah? And I think that is also the topic and issue of our conference. So I wonder a bit, how does this work for a big company like Deutsche Bahn to first get a biodiversity strategy agreed, endorsed, and then implemented? Yeah? And how far would you go? Would nature positive be a target of this strategy?
To be honest, we are in the middle of the process. It is right that when I came to Deutsche Bahn, I focused very much on nature, because there we had a blinder Fleck at Deutsche Bahn, and in that we wanted to do. So now we are defining our strategy, because we did topics in biodiversity before, one this and one there, and always when we build new infrastructure, of course, but it wasn't focused. There was no holistic approach, and that is necessary, as we heard yesterday, as we heard today. So to me, it's very important to see all these little, savings of birds and trees and plants and this and that, and into a strategy. And that's what I'm trying to do, and that's not easy in a company that is struggling, you all know that, and where you have a lot of people sitting at the board or below who are saying to me, well, Katrin, to be honest, we have slightly different problems. Yeah? We have trains not running on time, and it's not one train. It's a lot of trains not running on time. But it helps if you have allies at the board of a company, and which helps at Deutsche Bahn especially is that the CEO is also the CSO, so I have one ally at the top.
Okay, but yeah, this allies we always need in our private life and professional life for sure. But who other than a CEO has to be your allies in order to get this big thing moved? How about the customers, and how about the rest of the company? I mean, I can imagine, and I somehow know it even, because you told already, that there is, of course, reluctance, as there's always reluctance. If you want to start something new,
right.
And this should be significant, then reluctance is your every morning greeting. Yeah.
The customers, that is not so difficult, because every one of you, who wants to go by train decides maybe to take a little bit of unconsciousness, or a little bit more of unconsciousness, to be honest, because you want to take the right kind of transportation, the climate neutral kind of transportation. So we have a lot of clients who go with us. It's a little bit more difficult within the company. There you need allies on every step of such a company. You have to identify them, and you have to build a strong relationship and a strong fixing, to say it like that. And you have to build allies outside of the company, maybe the Umweltverbände, I'm searching for the English word now.
The NGOs,
the NGOs, and they have to be at your side, and that is why I have a strong connection to these NGOs, and a closed link and a lot of conversation, because you need them always. You have to need them if you want to quit glyphosate, and you have to speak to them if you are defining a strategy for biodiversity, because you have one problem in defining a strategy on biodiversity. You do not have defined KPIs. Yeah, it's not climate reduction. That is very simple, and you have CO2 emissions reduction, and everybody is behind it. In biodiversity, everybody has a little different approach. So you have to talk to each other, that you find a strategy which suits for everybody.
Yeah, but since I've worked for many years in an environmental NGO, the WWF in this case, I know exactly how difficult it is to get things implemented and approved. I mean, we try to advocate for nature in politics, of course, to get better laws, to get protected areas gazetted and implemented, and then well managed, and then well funded, etc. I mean, only the gazettement of a protected area is in some cases only a starting point, or let's say a milestone, but the real life follows. I know how difficult it is, and I know how far away quite often a high level of awareness is from real action. And I always said there is a canyon in between. A canyon between being so aware, then comes the canyon, and then doing nothing. And this is something that is very human. And I mean, even I am aware of many things, but do I always do the right things? I don't. So, and now come back to your political experience in combination with the experience in a company. And I said you are a laboratory of Germany somehow. What would be your advice? How can we build a bridge over this canyon?
In the end, it's a fight for money, as always, to be honest. It's a fight for budgets you get to do the right thing. And there, you're right. It is good to have these knowledges from discussing and from convincing everybody. As we say in Germany, you have always to think about, dass der Wurm eben dem Fisch schmecken muss, wo ich jetzt auch nicht weiß, wie die englische Übersetzung an der Stelle ist.
The worm has to fit the fish.
Yes,
thinking
right.
of angling,
right,
it has to taste.
And that's
to the
how
fish.
I do it at Deutsche Bahn. If I have to convince somebody who is more focused on figures, I can convince him with regulations and which is necessary, and or maybe with the ESG ratings, who makes it for Deutsche Bahn easier to get fresh money from investors. That is a high topic. And if I have to convince somebody who is more intrinsically motivated like me, I can convince him or her by speeches as we heard today. But that's not always the same. And if I try to convince somebody who is very much focused on the railway concept and on time trains and so on, then I build the link between biodiversity and climate resilience, because that is very much interlinked. And to be honest, even in June, we had in Germany 400 ICEs, not on time, because on strong weather stuff, rains, Hangrutsche, wo ich jetzt auch das englische Wort nicht weiß, und so on, floods and so on. So if I build this connection between biodiversity and what we need for that, and climate resilience, which is very much, there is not so much to convince in people who are working for a better railway system, then I can find a language which suits for everybody.
Yeah, thank you, Katrin. With a few on the time, one very last question with a plea for a very short answer. Do you have, thinking on biodiversity and railway, what kind of picture does come to your mind? I saw a lot of water buffaloes on your website, so grazing is currently a picture.
Yeah, I mean, I can see the flora and the fauna, of course, and that's what I'm very much focused on, and that is where the NGOs can help me a lot. But of course, I see on the right and on the left of a railway a real good population of flora and of fauna. Of course, that's what I see and what I want to reach, for sure.
Good. Thank you very much. Thanks for listening. Katrin Habenschaden.